Okay, Friday, 29th of November, 2024. So Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Future Friday, plan and strategize. Is it all maths? It's all maths. The title is a bit flippant in a sense of, is it all maths? Ultimately, yes. Everything, when we're reductionist enough, is ultimately maths and mathematics. And then if you're really reductionist, everything truly is geometry. But I don't fully understand that. That's a little beyond me right now. But, give me a few moments, I might understand it more. But nonetheless, maths. Now, yesterday, 2 days ago, something like that, I was having an interesting conversation with a friend of mine. When he comprised something in a way that I'd not thought about. He squared the circle, so to speak, with this subject over here and mathematics, which I had never connected it to before in this particular sense, in this particular way. The subject is immaterial for this particular video, another time. But that thought process was fundamental. He was looking at this whole thing, which is not stereotypically mathematical or logical per se, in a purely mathematical and even economical way, which is interesting, but that's a whole other conversation. Purely economics. And yes, it is. Because this subject here, there are principles of economics, let's say, for example, price elasticity, that is directly applicable to this field over here. That's fine. Now, that's interesting. A nice analogy. Perfect. So what does that tell us? Everything is fundamentally maths. Is it maths? Yes, it is. When we look at the first principles of things, and then we can try and decide and decipher what mathematical concepts or economic concepts underpin that first principle, then we can approach life much more strategically. Because now, when you approach it strategically, through the maths, you have a very tactical way of approaching things with quantifiable actions and measurements and results and techniques, as opposed to guesswork, as opposed to feeling, as opposed to thoughts and emotions, which they have a place in life. Humans are irrationally rational, but nonetheless, mathematics dominates everything. Mathematics dominates the construction of this building, the logistics behind this park, the building of this palace right here, everything else, even the calendar and beyond. Fair enough. So therefore, it's worthwhile looking at things and understanding the first principles behind it, and then understanding what mathematical concepts, formulas, techniques, you name it, and also what economic principles are behind it. In economics, whether Keynesian or Austrian or even Chicago school, but any kind or any and all, to understand as much as possible, understand as many maths as possible, as much as possible, and then discard the maths that the formulas are false or redundant or irrelevant or obsolete or you name it, or not applicable to you. But that's powerful, because then, as I said, we are creating very strategical, technical ways of approaching different problems and finding solutions. So in this context, we were approaching a particular problem, and I broke down the first principles, all these main things to consider and have in the context in this field, and then search for what principles of mathematics or economics underpin these concepts. And there's a handful, there's loads and loads, 20, 40 or so, and a few of them in the past I've been doing instinctually, but that depends on strategy and plan and time. But that's fascinating, because then we are approaching things much more strategical. Perfect. And there's a great quote in business. I forgot who by actually. Stan Druckenmiller? Can't remember. What gets measured gets managed. If we can measure things, if we can find ratios, multipliers, ways of looking at things, strategies, you name it, then everything can be turned into a game. Everything can be gamified. Everything can be, this is easy. It's a simple process. It's do this, this and this, and you get it. Wow. And when you understand that, hey, it makes success a lot easier. It makes things a lot fewer problems, fewer path of least resistance, less effort, which is good and bad. We want success. Hey, why make it hard as possible? We want it as easy as possible, don't we? That way we achieve what we want, as it is. And that's powerful. So yes, that was interesting. Is it all maths? Yes, it is. But however, I think if you look purely too much at the maths, and you ignore or you forget the human element, the irrational side, the emotional side of the world, especially when it comes to, say, behavioral economics, anthropology, psychology, you risk falling into the McNamara fallacy, which is over-relying on the maths, over-relying on the science and the technology, and forgetting that human, irrational element, which always plays a part. Now, it didn't play a part in, say, the construction of this building, or this library per se, but the artistic side, the human side, the emotional side, that will always be there inside humans forever. It's perpetual, it's forever, this human emotional side. If we focus too much on the logic, we risk, I think, disconnecting and losing some humanity, and we fall into the McNamara fallacy, only looking at the maths, only looking at the logic, and ignoring the art, the beauty of life. But both are important. By definition, they're important because otherwise they wouldn't be talked about, they wouldn't be discussed. But very fundamental, very important. Is it all maths? Yes, fundamentally it is. And if you follow that to the extreme, you risk, you could risk losing your soul because you're just purely maths. Likewise, if you're purely just art and emotion and feelings, you lose your brain. Let's say you don't become logical. It's all just feelings and emotions, as opposed to looking at life as it is. I did a video about this as well. Accept life as it is, accept things as it is, accept and adapt, accept and adapt. There are fundamental principles in economics that underscored this field, this subject I was discussing with a friend, and that I noticed just for observations years ago, and that he was only slowly, I guess, recently, only slowly starting to realise as well. But then he mentioned something, and that unlocked the idea. Is it all mathematics? Yes, it is all mathematics. What are the first principles? What are the governing principles of mathematics in this field, in this concept, in this thing? And then you can expand it, as I said earlier, economics, behavioural economics, go one step further, psychology, anthropology, understanding life, understanding humans, understanding the world, understanding the mathematics, understanding the science. Hey, that's a good point actually. Taking the first principles of this field and asking AI, what are the first principles, of, say, anthropology underpin this thing, or psychology underpin this aspect of life. That's powerful. So then you understand life as it is. You understand things better. I did a video on this before about the past. AI, become the demon with AI, because by understanding the world and all its facets, everything, all its particular details, all its technicalities, all its nuances, you can predict the future. Powerful stuff. And understanding the mathematics, the formulas, the techniques, the methods, the methodology behind different things in life, we can create models, or we can get ideas, we can theorize things, how things will happen in the future, and we can shape the future, we can mold the future, we can predict the future by understanding the first principles behind everything. Architecture. I forgot the name actually now. Working with water, working with architecture, everything, you name it. Metallurgy, everything. The more first principles you understand of these things, and the maths behind it, the mathematics, the behavioural economics, and the economics as well, that underpin all these things, the better we can predict the future, the better we can manage our lives, the better we can manage it and build and create things. And that's powerful. Very, very, very powerful, because fundamentally then you're less delusional as to life, as to the world, as to what's happening, as to what to expect, what could happen, what could not happen, and beyond. Powerful stuff. Yes. But otherwise, Adrian's Daily Vlog, sharing smart stuff mentioned now. Subscribe for more. You will see me tomorrow.